guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, or this morning rather, co-pilot Boomer and I are heading north on a service call to do a timing belt on a, I want to say it's a 2009 Honda Pilot 3.5 V6. So, should be there in the next hour and a half. Alright, well, we made it. Let's get after it. Damn it. There we go. Well, that's unfortunate. All my quarter-inch extensions are not on the truck. For frick's sakes. For whatever stupid reason, I don't even have a 3/8 ratchet on the truck either. So we have a half 3/8 reducer with a stack of 3/8 extensions. Whatever you gotta do, I guess. There's just a few bolts on these. There's that one. Oh, and we actually we're missing one. There's one back here to hold the back of the computer bracket that is not even in its home. So, I guess that's one less we have to worry about. That one's out. Computer will come out now as soon as we take that off. Oh, we have that harness is clipped to the bottom of the bracket too. Get a little screwdriver or something. Out. Get that up out of the way. And look at all the room it gives you for activities. Pull that harness off the rest of the way here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take this motor mount off. Wow, someone's mixed up some bolts at some point. Because this bolt does not go to a Honda. Well, I mean, it might go to a Honda somewhere, but that's not what belongs in that hole, I know that. So actually, since I'm leaving that attached, just slide that back in there. Get that up out of the way. And there, actually before I pull the motor mount, I'm going to pull the power steering pump. To do that, oh, crap, I did not get power steering fluid, did I? Okay, well, we're going to do things a little bit different. Typically how I would do these in the past, I'd pull the return line, I'd suck all the fluid out of the reservoir, pull the return line, so that's out of the way. I'd pull the feed line, pop the whole pump off, get it out of the way. Being that I don't have fluid, I don't want to open this system up. Or I'm going to double check and make sure I don't have any Honda fluid on the truck, but I really doubt I do. So it may be we're going to unbolt the pump and stretch it up there as far as we can, maybe hold it with a bungee or something. First we'll get the tensioner off. I don't have a cert belt tool on the truck either, so I'm sure that'll be a good time. 17 millimeter, or are they a 19? They might be a 19. Find out. This is a 19, so let's see if that fits. $19 it is. Now, the question is, am I going to have enough throw? Let's get the reservoir kind of moved. Tensioner goes the other way. Lefty, or yeah, lefty tighty, or loosey. Yeah, you know what I'm getting at, dude. Or is that right? No. Man, it must just be a new tensioner. It's got some freaking tension. That cert belt out. Pull that out of here all the way. Oh. Down around the idler, all the way down to the crank. From the crank goes over to AC compressor, up around that, around the tensioner, over the alternator, and then back up to the power steering pump. Simple enough routing, and I've done this so many hundreds of times you'd think I'd just remember, but in case I don't. Belt. Okay, 12 millimeter, two, or is there three? Two or three 12 millimeter. This one only has two. Okay, two 12 millimeter hex head bolts for the pump. gonna need that. A 1/4 drive extension on the truck. Little fella. Alright, see if we can thread them out by hand. This bottom one, that's not a great time. You gotta do it kind of between your middle finger and pointer finger there. Pumps loose. So, see, typically you'd want this all the way out of the way because it gives you so much more room to work. Let me check and see if I have fluid real quick. Well, by some miracle, I did happen to have a whole jug of a fluid Honda used to use. It's a Lithia Assured power steering fluid, which is approved for Honda systems. So we'll use that. Okay, so from there, take the return line off. And then, let's get a smart idea to grab a shop towel because this is going to spill fluid. trim off that up the best we can. Now the other thing I like to do on these at this point is put a cap on that return line. Find a vac cap that'll fit it. Put it on there. I know at the house I have a bunch that are actually off Honda power steering pumps. I highly doubt I have one on the truck, but I'm sure I probably got one I can make work. So we'll pull this up out of the way, set it up on the manifold like that. I kind of think this might be the right variety. Oh yeah. Now, I know I'm probably looking right at it, but I seem to have misplaced my, oh, never mind. This dealie for the brake bleeder screws that goes on the Sucker 5000. Found it though, so we're good. Alright, motor mount at this point. Well, actually, real quick, I'll take this one out because I'm not going to be able to get in there with my air ratchet. This holds engine harness to your motor mount, so that screw does need to come out. Because this whole motor mount's going to come off. On these, as long as you have a good front mount, good rear mount, or you know, they're there, I should say, not necessarily good, but there, the motor's it's going to be just fine. It'll hang a little bit lower pulling this mount off, but you don't need to support the bottom of the motor. It's just fine. So go ahead and pull that ground. I think I'm about out of air. I don't have to turn the compressor back on. We'll see. Damn it. Damn it again. Find that later. I think it's down on a splash shield. Alright. So that will take that ground strap off the mount. The mount have what, two 12s, 3 14s. That will come off. Maybe 2 14s and 3 17s rather. Nearly there. And we got air again. Got a wobbly socket about now, shit. We're gonna have to pull the cross bolt. start pulling the covers. So there's 5 bolts per top cover, and I believe there's 7 on the lower. I think that bracket shot down. Shouldn't typically have to pull that. I don't remember having to pull that anyway. Whatever. I'll pull it. Last bolt on the front cover requires removal of the cert belt tensioner. Get that one out of the way. Now our last one up here, got to pull that tensioner off to do that. 17 mil. Son of a gun, it's tight. And I want to say there's a 12 millimeter pulling that tensioner on as well. 12 or 14. I want to say it's 12 though. You just got to feel around for it. Lower than this part of the tensioner, this bolt. I believe it's towards the front, maybe it's towards the rear. So I'll run that almost all the way out, but not quite all the way. Then I'll feel around for that other bolt. taking that 17 mil bolt out of the center of the pulley for the tensioner. Tensioner is now free. Take that last bolt off for the front top cover. Where's my tin? How about still on the ratchet, stupid? Top covers will now come off. You pull up or pull out slightly and pull up. They kind of overlap the lower cover, I believe. Well, I'm not sure what bolt I just pulled because that was definitely not the one I needed. Dropped the actual one. Okay, pull the harness off the back cover. Pop that one out. From here, I'm going to go ahead and unbolt the inner part of the motor mount. 14 mils, 2 up top, 1 down in the middle. It is captured by the lower portion of the timing cover, so after we pull the balancer and the lower timing cover, the whole thing will come off. The water pump's behind this, so this does have to come off. So we'll go ahead and pop that now. So that last bolt, I'm going to use a ratcheting wrench. Jesus. get this thing in time. Okay, I'm going to let you guys in on a Honda secret. This is one of those things, unless you've done hundreds of these, such as someone like myself, you would not know. Rather than using the TDC mark on the balancer, I use the advanced mark. The advanced mark is red. The TDC mark is white. When you put it on the advanced mark, your cams, I'm trying to get a good angle here, you can see there's the TDC mark on the cam, there's the mark on the cover. It doesn't line up, right? Well, it's because we're on the advanced mark on the balancer. It will put your cams just rearward in the valley of the forward tooth of that cam. So you can see the marks just in the valley of that tooth right there. It's going to be the same on the rear of it. Let's see if I can get back there. Fighting the harness and everything, so work with me. Yeah, you can, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see. You can see there, yeah, I mean it's not really depicting it, but take my word for it. That mark on the cam is just rearward the valley of that tooth of the mark on the inner timing cover. So then, down here, you can see on that balancer, you see the pointer on the lower timing cover, it's lined up with that red mark on the balancer. That white mark to the rear of that is TDC cylinder 1. That red mark is the advanced mark. So why I will use the advanced mark and do it the way I'm doing it is these cams, unless you lock them in place, I'm sure there's different cam holding fixtures. I wasn't even aware of one that Honda had, and I worked for Honda for 10 years, but nor did I ever use one, but I'm sure they probably have some kind of bullshit that locks them. But why I'll use that advanced mark is to prevent those cams from rolling. It's a lot less likely that they'll roll when they're in the valley there than when they're at TDC. It's a lot easier to roll them over when you're at TDC. So, just an expert tip. Take it or leave it. I don't really give a shit. Onwards. Now that we're in time, we're going to go ahead and pull our balancer off, pull our lower timing cover off, pull this motor mount off, and that's where we're going to take it. Another tip for just about any Honda: getting these balancer bolts off without the actual holding fixture that Honda has that goes on the inside of this hex section of the balancer right here. Without that tool and cracking them loose by hand, it's going to require either a 1/2-inch drive 19mm weighted socket that's actually designed for removing these balancers, or I use a 3/4 inch impact with a reducer down to a 1/2-inch 19mm, and that'll do it too. But these are, there's not a 1/2-inch gun on the market that'll crack these loose, I don't think. I mean, I've had some pretty gnarly ones. They won't touch it, not even in Milwaukee. So I think I need to, might have to fire that compressor back up. Damn it. Yep, need more air. Let that compressor build air for a second. Jesus. Crank that compressor up to 140 psi. Let's see what happens now. yet to have one this gun won't take off. I'm actually kind of amazed. Got to rethink. So naturally, after all that, trying to get that balancer bolt out, I spent some time going to Harbor Freight this morning and True Value and piecing all kinds of junk together. Ended up having to go Harbor Freight, got a half-inch hose, and then another 1-inch gun. I had this old clapped out IR that I only have a 3/8 fitting on it, and I only have a 3/8 hose on the truck right now, so that did not have enough airflow. So we got that half-inch hose, got some half-inch type G fittings. For whatever reason, this Harbor Freight one only has a 3/8 NPT inlet, so had to reduce that, or expand that, for lack of a better term, up to a half-inch type G fitting. And then reduced it on the other end of the hose to my deal here that just goes straight into a quarter MPT, well, quarter MPT to 3/8 MPT to half-inch MPT, and then the regular half-inch type G on the other end of the hose. But with that managed to get it within the first few ugga-duggas, and it's out now, so we're gonna carry on. Okay, so I pulled the lower timing cover, the balancer, and the motor mount bracket. From here, go ahead, pull your washer. Can verify the pointer up there in the center above the crank. Can verify that that is forward of the mark on my crank gear right there. That one pointer on the crank sprocket. We're in the valley of that tooth forward of it. That's because we're using the advance mark to time it. It's the same deal with the cams. This will prevent the thing from the cams from rolling. Typically, it's the best way to go about it. So now I'll pull these 2 bolts for the belt retainer down on the crank cog, and then the 2 bolts right there that retain the tensioner, and then the belt will go slack. We'll pull the belt off. We'll get a pan under here. We'll start to pull the 7 bolts that retain the water pump out, drain the water out of the block, and go from there. I'll get back with you. So I may have misspoke. Water pump's not 7 bolts, it's only 5 10mm head M6 bolts. And before you pull that, I totally spaced it. You got to pull the 14mm bolt that holds the idler pulley, as well as the 14mm bolt that holds the tensioner pulley. Those got to come off. Then you pull the 5 10mm headed bolts for the pump. And I don't pull, I leave 2 of them just loose. Crack it loose with a screwdriver or a pry bar or whatever. And then let her drain for a bit. Where we're at. So from here, got the new belt on, new water pump, new crank seal. Got our either pulley, tensioner pulley back on. Belt's all routed, everything's in time. Belt's tensioned. We're gonna go ahead and put our motor mount bracket back over the water pump, followed by our lower timing cover, then our upper timing covers, and we'll go ahead and zip the balancer back on and keep on making progress from there. But there's a look at where we're at. I don't know if I already said it in one of the earlier clips. I feel like I did, but I run the advance mark on the balancer pulley, which is the red mark that'll line up with the lower timing cover pointer, and up on the cams you'll be advanced of the TDC marks, as well as if you pull that lower timing cover off, you will be advanced in the valley of the timing mark on the oil pump. So you can see the dot on the cam cog, or the crank cog, and then the arrow up on the oil pump. We're advanced in the valley of that crank cog. It'll be like that on the cams as well. That simple. And it won't rotate. So that's all there is to it. So I didn't film a whole lot of the finishing touches here, but it's back together and running. Assembly is pretty much reverse of removal, so if you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. But appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, the whole nine. See you on the next one.